Yo, what is going on, homies? It's your boy Stumped back from the OPTC video, and in today's video, we're hopping into the Garbs Challenge Worst Generation with the Strength team. So the first team I have for you guys is a double versus ace team, so that was the team. Those were the supports. Let's dive in. Now, some notable changes to this particular team if you guys are up for it. You can actually replace Sabo Koala with limited rare recruit Lucy. He works actually fine. He's not as good as the captain if you actually get the captain swap, but he will still actually boost Capone at the end of the day. It doesn't really matter too much. If you have Sabo Koala is probably like more on people's radars, and it's the big reason why I actually use them, as they are they've been around for a little while now. They've been out for about a year and a bit now. God, they're an old legend. They're a pretty old legend, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. But nevertheless, they are still quite good. And because this particular team is very free spirit centric, they do work well if you do actually get them as a captain. But in saying that as well, there is a way to sort of cheese that end part there. I heard if you do like reset the game, it'll always be your middle right. So like you can always just put like Luffy Sanji there and then like reset the game, and you guys should be fine. But on the first turn, like you just really want to start building up the Verse Ace meter. Verse Ace is really good because he makes strength, dex, and quick orbs matching for free spirits and shooter characters. This whole team is free spirit shooter centric. The next team will be like more mono strength based, but Verse Ace is just an absolute weapon. He's usually my go-to when it comes to building strength teams, as there are a lot of very good free spirit options for the strength color. Once you hit stage 3, we start versing the Worst Generation, and we actually come up against Bonnie, Apu, and the Fire Tank Pirate leader, Capone Beach. Now, what they do is they give us a full right-hand side of recovery orbs, they give our left-hand side bomb orbs, and then they make like healing, do damage, and then they take away your not sound effects, but like they take away your special effects. And with that, it's very hard to hit your perfects, and the whole gimmick of this particular stage is like if you can't hit your perfects, you can you take damage, and then if you like don't hit your perfect, you get the bomb. You guys know what I'm saying. But you could easily use the Aura Jackson for this particular team. Fire Tank Beach won't get boosted on your team, but at least you'll be able to hit your perfects a lot easier there, and you won't have to worry about it too much. Moving on to the next stage, this is easily the most annoying stage of this entire Garbs challenge. We come up against Urogue. Now, Urogue has a damage limit multiplier, which means that you can only do a certain amount of damage per turn. Now, this is the first time we've seen it on Global, but on Japan, it is an absolute headache, and there is really only one way to get around it. Well, two ways, actually. You have Poison. Poison can get around it quite nicely, but Poison damage takes a while to build up. The other way to get around it was with the burn, and that's why Ace is so damn good for this particular piece of content, because you can actually utilize Ace's burn mechanic and start doing the end of turn burn. With this particular stage, he starts on 500k, he goes to a mil, 1.5 mil, and after the 1.5 mil, he gives you normal attacks only, and then he makes it 2 mil. But utilizing the burn mechanic that Verse Ace provides us, we can actually get around the normal attacks only, and for this particular team, it doesn't matter that much, but if you are running something like Bullet, you could easily slap like Verse Ace on the team and then just use the versatility here. But for this particular team, it doesn't matter too much. It just makes it a goddamn, like, it just makes it so much quicker, to be honest. Like, the time it takes on that particular stage is so freaking annoying. Once we hit the next stage, we come up against Killer and Zora. On this stage, you can't rotate your orbs, otherwise they just do a whole bunch of nasty stuff. But with Morley, we can actually remove the threshold they put up, the 4 turns of threshold. We can actually get a conditional boost against defense down, as well as carrying that into the next stage. We can switch with Sabo Koala. That's going to give us some color affinity boost, so that way we can easily take out Killer with our barrier pen on Ace, and then we can actually just hit our perfects, take out Zoro, and we can move on to the next stage against Blackbeard. Unfortunately, against Blackbeard, he does put up full immunity, so Morley doesn't work perfectly, but like Morley's really, really good for that previous stage. On this particular stage, I got very unlucky with my orbs, as you guys can see here. So if you guys get a little bit better luck than I, you guys will be able to do this a little bit quicker. But on this particular stage against Blackbeard, he just sort of does a bunch of damage, and he takes away like your healing. So utilizing something like Fire Tank Beach is really, really nice, because he's actually going to heal us up. With Chiffon, we can heal a little bit more. With Limit Break, you can actually get around the recovery bind, which is super easy to do. And then you can sort of just like use a Verse Ace special and just take your time on this Blackbeard stage. Blackbeard hits pretty hard, but because we get all that healing from Fire Tank, as well as doing Threshold on ourselves, we can actually take this time to sort of just like remove the Great Barrier. Once we enter this stage, Blackbeard actually puts up the orb barrier thing that like the Fire Tank Pirates are so renowned for, or the Hawkins Forest is so renowned for. And it's quite annoying, to be honest. Like it's genuinely ridiculously annoying, but there are ways to get around it. And for this particular team, we are using Fire Tank Beach, the strength rare recruit that came out with Luffy Sanji, to actually just sort of take our time on this stage. We really just want to try and get like our orbs back. But to do that, you actually have to hit Greats, and it is fairly annoying. As you guys can see here, we actually managed to get like all of our orbs back except for on like our ace captain. And then I just decided to break the Ace Orb. Unfortunately for me, I totally forgot about the final stage where they give you an captain swap. On the last stage against Law, Luffy, and Kid, the Onigashima trio, they do a bunch of stuff. They all turn into super types, which means you do less damage if you have color affinity. They captain swap you to one of your middle rows, which again, you can cheese. You can just like reload the game, and it's always the middle right, I've heard. And then Kid will actually blow away your 2 bottom units. Thanks to the sailor abilities of both Morley and the Fire Tank Pirates, or Capone, we actually don't get blown away, which is really, really nice, because that way we just don't have to worry about it. We did get Luffy Sanji as our captain, which is pretty cool, because Luffy Sanji can become a 5 times captain as long as we are at max HP, which is very easy to do, because we get a lot of healing thanks to Fire Tank, or Capone on the previous stage. We give ourselves a full board of recovery orbs, and then we get a nice juicy attack boost. Now, ideally, if you have a strength orb on your captain, or you get rid of that orbs like seal on the previous stage, you can use the versatility of Ace to sort of give yourself a strength orb, and then you can actually get the chain lock as well. But for my particular run, I didn't actually have the chain lock, which is pretty funny because like we do so much damage here that's like not even like it's ridiculous. I do have the support of Onami on my Luffy Sanji as well. Because there's not full immunity on this last stage, there is delay and poison immunity. You can actually do stuff like double damage with Kaido. You can get conditional boosts with like Mihawk Perona. You can get defense down conditionals as well. So it actually works really, really nicely here. And normally this particular stage is a big pain in the butt because there are 3 units. And the 3 units, they have a lot of HP. But as you can see here, because we have so much HP ourselves, we can actually just take our time against Luffy. And even though we are running full strength and he has type advantage, like we can just easily take him down thanks to Sabo Koala being an in unit as well. So that was the Verse Ace team. It works really nicely. It's not exactly the fastest team, but it does work very safely. Let's move on to the next team now, which is a lot faster. Alright, so moving on to the second team now, we are utilizing a hybrid Bullet and Snake Man team. This particular team actually moves through it a lot faster than the previous team. So this is the team, those are the supports, let's dive in. The only notable support on this particular team is the Caesar support, the limited rare recruit support Caesar on the Kaido, versus Kaido. Now, it's really not essential. It's just like the first time I've ever had a chance to use this support, so I just thought, screw it. I'm just going to use it for shits and giggles. Like, literally no other reason it's there. It gives you a little bit extra damage, but like, it is what it is. This particular 11 star event, I should say, it doesn't have a lot of like full immunity. So utilizing supports like that and using like defense down and like the double damage that Kaido provides and all those sort of shenanigans, it's actually really, really nice because most of the Garbs challenges you can't really do that, or most other content you can't do that besides the Garbs challenges, I should say. But nevertheless, if you guys don't have that support, do not stress. You don't really need it. Another thing to know about this particular team is you can replace Super Type Sabo. You can easily use something like Ace and Marco, or you could easily use something like Verse Ace. Verse Ace would actually work a little bit nicer, but I wanted to change it from the previous team that you guys just saw. But if you do have Verse Ace, just use Verse Ace, because you can utilize his burn ability, and that way you actually get the get it around the normal attacks only, and you can actually do some really cool shenanigans and stuff like Verse Kaido and the end of turn damage of Bullet. But because we aren't using Verse Ace with this particular team, I'm actually going to use the Bullet special right here. The reason I'm going to use it here is because like after this stage, we are going to get normal attacks only, and it doesn't really have any viability anywhere else in the fight. So we are just going to sort of get rid of those bomb orbs, smack a huge shot with Bullet, and just let him take out Apu, Bonnie, and Capone. That way we can move on to the next stage against Uro. Like I said, easily the most annoying stage of this entire fight. The damage limited debuff is just the most arrogant debuff in the entire game, and this is why if you do have Verse Ace, use Verse Ace over Super Type Sabo. Super Type Sabo is just here to trigger the super typing of Luffy. He's a good captain if he does get the captain swap, but Verse Ace is going to do it like just as well. Unfortunately though, if you do have Verse Ace like come as your captain, you are only going to get like 3 characters boosted. But nevertheless, it's not going to matter too much as long as you do get the shenanigans of something like Bullet and the shenanigans of something like Verse Kaido. You can also tweak the team a little bit as well, like put like Verse Kaido in the middle row and then put like Ace down the bottom, so then that way like Ace doesn't become your captain. You will lose a unit, but like who really cares? You're going to have so much damage at the end thanks to Bullet anyway. So, but nevertheless, with this particular team, I am using Super Type Sabo because Super Type Sabo works really, really well under Bullet. Mainly because Bullet's super effective against all types, and that way he's just been the king of Garb challenges. I'm not a huge fan of Bullet, like, per se anymore. But when it comes to running Garb challenges, look, for strength, he's still the king. Like, he still does it the fastest, he still does it the best, and there's no question about that. So, once we take out your Rogue after that 4th turn, we can move on to the next stage against Zora and Killer. Killer has a 4-turn 3 perfect barrier, as well as putting up 4 turns of threshold, and they do 4 turns of end of turn damage, and you just can't rotate your orbs here, which is really, really annoying. So just be careful when you are using the Verse Kaido special on this particular stage. If you do have a recovery orb, it will trigger the Verse Kaido, but there are other ways to actually do this particular fight. What you can actually do is you can use the super typing of Luffy here instead if you do have a recovery orb. That will work absolutely fine as well. So like, don't stress if you if you have a recovery orb, don't use the Verse Kaido special, just use the super typing of Luffy instead. Like, it doesn't matter too much. But if you do use the special of Kaido, you need to make sure you hit at least 3 perfects. And that's super easy to do because it's barrier. Remember, Akainu has barrier pen if you do have him rainbowed out. So make sure to just, like, break the barrier and kill Killer there. On the next turn against Blackbeard, we have the carrier of the orb boost thanks to Kaido. He gives us that orb lock or that orb barrier mechanic, which is really, really annoying. But what we can do here is we can use the super typing of Luffy or the special of Kaido, whichever one, it doesn't matter at all. And then, if you didn't use the Kaido special, use the Luffy special for an orb boost, and then use the special of Super Type Sabo. With Super Type Sabo, however, just make sure you don't hit your 3 perfects, so that way you don't get the color affinity. You really don't want the color affinity on this stage, because then it's so much harder to kill Luffy. Especially because we are going to lose Bullet as our captain. So remember, you won't have that super effective against all types. Against the Onigashima trio, they all become super typings. They blow away your bottom 2 row and they captain swap you to your middle row. They have a bunch of HP as well, but with this particular team, like, we don't have any issues. With Sabo, we get the additional chain buff, which is nice. Akainu gives us a massive attack boost. Luffy gets us a massive orb boost. If you have the carry over Kaido, you have the same orb boost anyway. You have defense down, and you have a conditional boost against that as well. So it all works very, very well. But that's going to wrap up today's video, guys. That was Strength against Garb's Challenge Worst Generation. I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and if you did, make sure to go down there and belt that like button for me if you're new to the channel. Hit the big red subscribe button too, but guys, wherever you are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, I thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Let's